Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and Secretary Panetta and General Dempsey and Mr. Hale. Thank you for being here. Secretary in General, I appreciate the chance we had to talk before the meeting. One thing I didn't mention then was that something you're well aware of. During the last 10 years, we've depended more than ever on our Guard and Reserve. And Secretary Panetta, I appreciate what you said during your testimony about them. I know we could never have supported two simultaneous wars without them. And like you and General Dempsey, anytime I've visited areas where we're in combat, you don't see a difference between active Guard and Reserve. They're all out there doing their job, putting their lives on the line. And I think your strategies echo this reality from the President's guidance, the last quadrennial defense review. As a result, and it surprised many of us in Congress, Senator Graham and I are co-chairs of the Guard Caucus, when the Air Force presented a 2013 budget plan that disproportionately cut the Guard. Now, I know there's going to be cuts, and we all understand that, but period here is you are going after your least expensive manpower to save money, and that did not make a lot of sense, especially as manpower costs are consuming more and more of the defense budget, as you said. So I don't know how you shrink them and maintain a ready and capable force. Will the, so my question is, does the Department of Defense stick with its earlier strategies to increasingly depend on the Guard and Reserve, or is there an alternative? Because the Air Force budget does not appear to follow that idea. Secretary Panetta?
Senator, you know, again, what the Air Force was asked to do is based on the new strategy, try to develop approach that provided a kind of multi-mission support for the force, and as a result of that, made decisions with regards to some areas that could be reduced in order to achieve, obviously, the savings that we were required to achieve. I recognize, you know, the controversy involved here because it impacts on constituencies, it impacts on the Guard.
Well, I'm afraid it impacts on readiness, too. That's my biggest concern.
But, yeah, I understand that. But, you know, obviously, we don't want to take it out of the active force because that is a force that's there ready to deploy quickly. What I've suggested is to try to see if there's a way that we can work to provide some restorations. I think I suggested putting some additional 130s back in place to try to assist some of these areas with regards to the impact that might be there. Let me just say this for the record. I'm fully prepared to work with this committee and to work with the staff of this committee to try to see if there's a way to do this that can minimize the impact, but at the same time, hopefully achieve some of the necessary savings that we have to do in order to
I hope you will, and you've worked with Senator Graham and I in the past on these issues, and I know we can again. On another matter, and this you went into the budget, I was one of those on the committee who opposed the Iraq War from the very start. President Obama did. I thought it was, I opposed it because I didn't think it was the right decision for our national security. Now we're making, and we basically ran that war on a credit card. Now we're making decisions how we address the national deficit, and it's not just sequestration. I mean, we voted earlier, the majority of us did, that sequestration be only if we were unable to reach consensus, and the understanding was we'd put everything on the table. But now we find people who are calling for more military action in other parts of the world. At the same time, they do not want to consider any way of paying for it, unlike what we've always done in the past. What would be the impact of going to war again without committing to pay for that war with upfront taxes? Something we did not do in either Iraq or Afghanistan for the first time in the history of the country.
Well, obviously, if we repeated the mistake of not paying for the war that we decide to engage in, whatever that might be, the result would be that you would simply add more to the deficit and to the debt of this country for the future. You just put that burden on our kids for the future. And, look, I think we always have to be careful when we make the decision to put our men and women in uniform into harm's way. That's number one. But number two, if that decision is made, then I think for the sake of the country, it's important that, that we recognize the costs that are involved and that, frankly, all of us bear some responsibility to pay those costs if we're willing to engage in war.
Thank you very much. Thank you.